Yo, yo, it's your boy, the Token Otaku, coming at you again with another manhwa review. If you find the video entertaining, please leave your boy a like and a subscribe. And if you have anything to say about the chapter, please leave a comment down below. Without further ado, let's get into it. Eleceed chapter 338 begins with a Bryant family meeting. The family head is explaining that due to the top tens moving and the State of the World Awakener Association, they had to make an alliance. So he emphasizes that nothing can go wrong during the event. One of the other family members asks if an heir should be appointed to calm the chaos, and the others at the meeting agree, thinking that it will show everyone that the Bryant family isn't shaken by the recent events. After a moment, the family head chooses Vesper Bryan and instructs her to take charge of the event, and she assures him that she won't let him down as the meeting comes to an end. We then cut to after the meeting. Arthur is walking when he is called out to by Ji-woo, who is accompanied by In-hyuk. Arthur asks why he's there, and Ji-woo says he's standing in for Ji-young since she couldn't come. We then cut back to Ji-young telling Ji-woo about the invitation sent out to a few families and organizations by the Bryan family due to the change happening in awakened society, claiming that everyone is looking to form a power of their own, and due to the state of things in their own country, she can't go, and tells him that he should go in her stead. He doesn't believe that he is qualified to replace her. But Ji Young counters, saying that not only is he an awakener from their country, but he is also Caden's disciple. Ji Woo then asks if he may be able to meet Arthur if he goes to the event, and Ji Young says that it may be possible. We then cut back to Ji-woo asking Arthur why he hasn't replied for so long, saying that he was worried about him. Before Arthur can reply, he is called out to by Vesper, asking if he is mad that he wasn't selected as the heir, saying that even though it's now public, he'd already known that he wasn't going to be chosen. Arthur then lets out a sigh before congratulating Vesper. One of the family members that's with her then says Arthur should have taken better care of himself, and that if he would have done something about his arms, he wouldn't have been passed up as the heir. Vesper then asks who Arthur is with, and before he can tell them, it is announced that they are from the Korean organization Shinhwa. She begins to think that the only reason that they were invited was because of Arthur, surmising that they would be of no help. Vesper then thanks them for coming, and that she will officially greet them in a more proper manner later. We then cut to a hotel where Arthur and Ji-woo are talking, and Arthur asks about Ji-suk, Woo-in, and Subin. Ji-woo tells him that they are all in closed-door training, so he hasn't seen them in months, saying that they all suddenly started talking about how they needed to increase their strength. Arthur then wonders when the last time he trained was. Ji-woo then asks him about his arm, and Arthur shows off his prosthetic, saying that due to its special make, it can do simple things, but he's not able to use his abilities through it, as well as that it's thrown off his balance, so his combat abilities have fallen as well. Arthur then talks about how he was pushed out of the competition for heir, and that the woman he met earlier was the current heir. He then explains that even if he was at full strength, it would have been difficult due to the backing the others have, saying that the only reason he was in the top seat was because of his strength. He then asks Ji-woo about beating Duke twice, saying he should have been there to see it, and claims he's been hearing a lot about Ji-woo, saying he's much stronger than he was when he first met him. Ji-woo thanks him as Arthur asks about what's been happening, and the two of them talk throughout the night. We then cut to the Bryant family event before the chapter ends. And with the end of the chapter, I'll get into a bit of my thoughts. I definitely think it's interesting to see that the families and organizations and associations are now beginning to build their own alliances or their own groups to probably obviously start battling with each other over territory and like control over like the world pretty much. I thought the event was going to be like something that was just like a thing that they just did in the family. I didn't realize that it was going to be like how they were going to build their alliance. But I'm interested to see like who's going to show up. Like how many people are we going to know here, or is it going to be all new faces from like new organizations? I do expect to probably see a couple old faces here. Probably nobody from like any of the Korean Awaken associations, but probably from the World Awakener Academy. Yeah, probably no frame people at all. That would be crazy if frame people showed up. because that would probably obviously be how the fighting would happen here. But I'm imagining there's probably going to be, somebody talking bad about Arthur, and then Jiwoo steps up, and then obviously hands have to be thrown because somehow we have to get to somebody fighting here. You know what I mean? Either it ends in like the fight doesn't happen here, but then it's like scheduled for later, or somebody tries to jump them down the line. We all know it's coming. There's a fight somewhere at the end of this. After that, I definitely find it weird that Arthur is like become so weak due to like losing his arm. Like, I do get it. The idea of like, oh, maybe like the power source comes from literally your own like physical body. So like losing a part of your body, you've obviously lost some of the ability to, I guess, gather that strength or even just create it naturally. But the idea that he would just be like weakened by it, like I understand him losing like maybe his balance because probably the arm probably weighs more because it looks crazy, but the fact that his powers don't work as well just seems a little odd. Like, I understand his like the way he's always been shown to use his abilities is like using both his hands to like create the like I think they have like a gravity kind of ability. And yeah, while I do get that, like, you usually use both hands, I always think back to like Netero and like in my head right now, that's the only one I can think offhand. But like, I know that it's been done before where it's like, yeah, you lose that part of your body, but it's like the the ability isn't actually flowing like from his hands normally. It's kind of just kind of flying out from him. So I imagine that maybe like after what happens at this event and him probably going to train his power, he'll figure out probably that he doesn't really need to use his hands to really make it happen. It was just like more of a like a subconscious kind of control thing is what I'm imagining, because we've seen many attacks where like a bunch of people get hit and like there's like massive, like, you know what I mean, multiple attacks, and like you can't control that with just two hands if that's really what they're like implying there. So I'd like to see how he's going to overcome the fact that he can't probably channel his energy through his other arm, but like figuring that he could still like push it that way, like out of that shoulder that still exists there to like use his ability. And maybe he can use the hand itself like more, I guess, is like kind of like how a wand works in a lot of stories, like where people are like using their ability through the object so that they can control their ability, you know? And also probably him just using this like crazy metal arm to just start beating the crap out of people. Like, he could just straight, like, you know what I mean? Forget using powers, just start yamming on people with this metal arm. But hey, I was glad to see Jisuk, Wooin, and Subin mentioned again, because they've kind of been out of the story for quite a while now, and then I was just talking about them in the last chapter, and I'm really excited to finally see them back in the story whenever that comes. Hopefully after this event, but who knows how long it actually may be. But I'm excited to see them come back and to see how strong they've become after their training, and then hopefully. I don't know what I hope is going to come next because obviously the academy stuff is gone. So like after this, it's probably just going to be like probably like association warfare is going to be happening, like how I was talking about, because they're all starting to build alliances. And when that starts to happen, obviously people are going to start battling over territories and trying to stop certain alliances. And, pretty much it's gearing up to be like wars are about to start happening with these people with these crazy abilities. And I'm wondering how devastating that's actually going to be, like either on just like regular people society or like awakener society, because there's also people like Frame who really don't care, and they're like known as kind of being like a terrorist kind of organization. So I'm really wondering how all of these like factors are going to like coalesce and kind of like battle against each other, because there's just already a lot of like, I feel like tension between the organizations that they've already built up, where it's like they all just kind of seem to not really like or want to get along with each other a lot. They just seem to more or less tolerate each other because they know they can't take each other out. Because at least even in just Korea, we've seen so many like, attacks on each other from the associations trying to like usurp the strength that they have. So I can only imagine that all the other groups that we've met and seen probably have the same things going on within their countries, and their countries are probably larger and dealing with more people and more organizations. So I'm definitely excited to see how deep this is about to get and how like, serious this is about to be, like with all the battling and who's going to be battling. Another thing that I probably should put before everything else, but I'll just leave it here. I know I just kept saying like the Bryant family members or the family members, blah, blah, blah. It's because none of these dudes have been named. And even worse, I know you probably noticed, like, with the pictures that came up, they all look exactly the same, pretty much. There's only like two or three of them who are like identifiable out of a group, really, like of them, which is like the family head, the one dude who's black, um, man, I've already forgotten her goddamn name, Vesper, and holy crap, I might have overnumbered. Yeah, because the dude who's with Vesper doesn't even like. I guess. Arthur. Arthur. But I figured that one was kind of duh. But yeah, besides that, the rest of them are so interchangeable in looks, and they have not given any of them names. I have looked on the wiki. I contemplated going back and looking, but when I was like looking on the wiki, there's like people from Frame who didn't even have actual names. They were designated by numbers, and they're on the list, and they have their like, there's a picture of them with like number 19 underneath of it. So I was like, okay, no, we have never met these people. They have not been named as of now. And I guess we're just not supposed to know what their names are. Very odd. But yeah, that's why I've been referring to them like that. If you notice, I pretty much call anyone else by their name, like, just so, we know who's there. But besides that, uh, yeah. Hopefully we get introduced to some more Bryant family members, like, with their names so we know who they are, because obviously I feel like that's important so you can distinguish who we're dealing with. Like, right, like, before we even knew, like, Arthur was just getting picked on by three randoms. Now it's like two randoms and Vesper. And it's like, can we just get these people's names? Like, you could have dropped name cards at the bottom of all three of them at the end of last chapter. Like, come on. But besides that, I don't think there's much else. I did remember one more thing. I wonder if any of the animal trio, Caden, Cartian, or Pluton, are gonna like transform back into their human forms at any point during this meeting. I mean, this event. Probably unlikely due to the low stakes and the fact that Inhyuk's also there. So he's pretty strong in his own right. So I figured they'd be like, nah, he can deal with it. I don't think anything will get to the point where the three of them will need to pop out. But if it does happen, heard it here first. But with that, it's your boy, the Token Otaku. Please leave your boy a like and a subscribe if you got to this point, and leave a comment if you have anything to say about the chapter or any thoughts that I may have missed. Make sure to drink plenty of water, eat plenty of fruit, and get 8 hours of sleep. Peace out.
You haven't noticed, I'm staying focused. They say in the way